A very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all. Myself, Vaibhav. In today's session of Visual J Forex, we will be starting afresh with a new indicator. The name of the indicator is midpoint. These indicators output value gives us the idea for the trend. If we see that the midpoint, which is calculated using the closing high and the closing low, is rising compared to the prior period, that means on an average the price for the underlying instrument is moving higher. And if we see that the midpoint is lower compared to the prior period, then that of course means the underlying momentum is bearish, so we can take our trading decisions accordingly. So I will be explaining to you how we can design and develop a simple algorithm using these indicators on the Visual J Forex board, which has been developed by the Ducoscopy Bank SA. You will find this indicator just below the Lagere CS1, which we had considered for the algorithm development in the prior session. Now today it's the turn of the midpoint. We have to define these four input parameters depending on which we will be getting this output value. We have to consider the default instrument. We will not be making any changes. We will use the Euro USD as the instrument of choice. Then comes the candle period. This is a very important parameter. So are all other parameters. But on this, you have to define the time, the candle period amount using which you will be trading. If you want to trade on the longer time horizon, then the time periods like daily, weekly are more appropriate. But if you are looking to trade on the shorter time horizon, then the candle periods like hourly, 4 hourly will be more important. In today's setup, we will be using the combinations of the 4 hours and 1 hour. So I will be explaining to you how the logic will be very soon. Then comes this shift value. Shift value defines the particular point in time. If you want to take the current output for the midpoint, then you don't have to make any changes. The shift value remains at 0. But if you want to go back in time, then the shift value, suppose if it is taken at 6 with the candle period of 10 minutes, that means you will be getting the output value 60 minutes back. Simply 6 multiplied by this candle period amount. And the time period is the given period of time for which the calculation is being done for this indicator. So that is also very crucial. And after all these parameters get defined, we get the output value, which we can then use to set the conditions for the execution of the trade. Now let us head to the JForex platform. Here I will change the instrument to Euro USD. So here it is. We will be using the two time horizons, 4 hourly and hourly. The combination is going to be quite simple. We want to initiate the trade when we have seen significant move in any particular direction. So on the 4 hourly candle period, we will be looking to capitalize on the overbought or oversold scenario. So we will not be trading with the trend on the 4 hourly candle period. Rather than that, if we see that the price has moved significantly higher or lower compared to the midpoint, then we will be looking to trade to exploit the possibility of regression to the mean. That means the tendency of the underlying instrument to converge toward the midpoint, and that is how we are going to define the conditions. So on the 4 hourly candle period, we will need this midpoint price, midpoint output value to be on the rise, and that is the only condition which we will consider on the 4 hourly candle period. And for any sell trade to be initiated, we will have to look at this midpoint output value and its current value, or say one candle period back, the output value should be rising or higher compared to the midpoint output 30 candle periods back of 4 hours each. So basically we are taking the data for last 5 days, and that corresponds to a week's worth of data, and we want to be trading when we have the overbought or oversold And for any sale trade to be initiated, we will be selling it on the high after having seen it rise significantly and having spent considerable amount of time in a overbought scenario. And for any buy trade to be initiated, the inverse will be true. We will need the condition to be reversed, and for any buy trade, we will compare the midpoint for the last 4 hours, and it should be lower compared to the midpoint 30 candle period back, that is 120 hours back. And only after this condition is in place, we will be looking to initiate the buy trade. For further optimizing the entry and exit points, we will be taking the help of the hourly setup. For any buy trade to be initiated, we want to trade with the trend on the hourly candle period. So whenever we have any reversal of sort or even continuation of the trade, provided the 4 hourly conditions are in place, we will look to initiate the trade when we have this midpoint output value on the rise. So we will change this period for time period will be changed to 24. So we will be taking into consideration the data over last 24 hours. And for any buy trade to be initiated, we want this output value of last hour's midpoint to be higher compared to the midpoint output 24 hours back. And in addition to that, we are also relying on the price action data. When we have the last hourly candle closing higher compared to the midpoint, whereas the penultimate candle of the hourly time frame was lower, we will be looking to initiate the trade as and when we see the price starts to rise above the current midpoint, and that will be the point we will be initiating the trade. For any sell trade, we will be considering the momentum, and that will need to be bearish. So we will be looking to initiate the trade when we have the last hour's midpoint output value lower compared to the midpoint output value 24 hours back. And here also the price action also comes into play. We need last hour's closing value to be lower compared to the last hour's midpoint output value, whereas the penultimate hourly closing should have been higher compared to the penultimate midpoint output value. And then the sale trade will be initiated when we have in the current hour the price declining below the midpoint output value, so that we have both these consideration into play, the price action as well as the average pricing over the given time horizon. So we will be looking to initiate the trade with the trade in terms of hourly candle period, but for 4 hourly time frame we need the momentum to have entered into the extreme phase where we will be looking to initiate the trade. So it is a combination of both things. We are considering trend on the lower time horizon, whereas we are considering the overbought or oversold contrarian positioning on the larger time horizon. So that's how we are going to define and design the algorithm. So now let us head to the Visual J Forex board, where we will have to add these midpoint blocks. First thing first is to get the instrument subscription done. For that, 3 if blocks will need to be added. This time we will use one candle as our start point. Default variable, default instrument, it remains Euro USD, should match the candle instrument, and candle instrument in turn should match the instrument of choice, which is Euro USD. And we take all position amount into consideration as well, to add the condition that there should not be any pending or open position on the account before execution of the new trade. So this should also match first input equals second input. Now we come to defining of the output input values for the midpoint. Here I will change the candle period to 4 hours. Shift value will also be changed to 1, and this time period will be changed to 30. Okay. In addition to this, we will need few more midpoint blocks. And these are here. This will also be changed to 4 hours. Shift value is going to be 30. So we will be considering the output value almost 5 days back. And in addition to this, this will be hourly, and this will have shift value 0 unchanged, but I will change the time period to 24. And we need 3 more of this with different candle periods. The time period is going to be changed to hourly. Shift value will become 1. Time period of 24. For this block also, changes will have to be done. It is also going to be hourly, but the shift value is now going to be 2. And the time period 24. Here also it will become hourly candle period. And shift value of 24. So we will be retrieving the data a day back. Okay, so we have these midpoint blocks in place to Draw the comparison and determine accordingly whether the momentum is bearish or bullish and what kind of trade can be taken. Then to look at the price volatility, we are also going to take the help of info blocks, the get historical candle, and this is going to be changed here. We will define this for the hourly time horizon, hourly candle period, and the shift value is going to be 1. One more of these will be needed. Shift value of 2. Okay, and after this we will be looking to initiate the trade once we pinpoint the exact entry point, which we will do using 10-second blocks. So this will be changed to 10 seconds, and this one also. Shift value will be changed to 1 and 2 respectively. And with this we have almost all the basic building blocks which will be needed for the construction of the logical requirements for the execution of the buy as well as sell trade. We will need some calculation expression blocks to carry out certain calculations which we will add in the next session. So for this session we stop here. I hope you have been able to understand why I have added these midpoint blocks and then the price action retrieving blocks of the gate historical candle, and also the logic which I had explained on the J4X platform. So thank you all for joining in. For further coverage of the market developments, do check out the Decoscopy Analytics page. We are also available on the Facebook. You can reach out to us there. Whenever you want to start trading, if you haven't already done so, you can take the J4X platforms services, and it offers a low cost environment. And also to carry out the testing, you will need a historical tester, which is also available on the platform. Thank you all for joining in. Have a fabulous time ahead. See you next time. Till then, goodbye.